All right, let's dive straight in today. We're looking at some pretty specific engineering.
Yeah, really getting into the weeds on suspension.
We are. Our mission is nailing down the synergy between barrel springs and aeration dampers, specifically for upgrading, those classic Tamiya chassis.
The CC-01 and the ORV platform. Good choices.
Absolutely. So maybe start with the springs. What's the core problem they solve?
Okay, yeah. So standard cylindrical springs have this fundamental issue. It's called bowing.
Right, where if you just push down on a regular spring, it doesn't just compress straight, it wants to bend sideways.
Exactly. And that bowing action introduces, well, unpredictable forces sideways, lateral forces.
Which messes things up. Our sources point out it causes spring rate inconsistency big time.
Yeah, it's just not precise. Now, the barrel spring geometry, that's the clever part. It's elegant, really.
Because it's shaped differently, wider in the middle, tapering at the ends.
Precisely. That shape gives it stability, basically forces the spring to compress axially.
Straight up and down.
Perfectly straight. So it just eliminates that bowing. Completely gone.
Okay, so physically it moves better. But what about the feel? The handling? How's it different from a standard linear spring?
Well, that's the other key advantage. The geometry gives it a progressive spring rate.
Meaning it changes as it compresses?
Correct. Unlike a linear spring, which has the same resistance all the way down, the barrel spring starts off relatively soft.
Okay, so good for small bumps, keeping traction.
Exactly. Compliance. But then, as you compress it further, like in a hard corner or landing a jump, it gets progressively firmer.
So you get that stability and roll control when you actually need it, but it's not harsh over little stuff.
You got it. It solves that compromise you always have with a purely linear system. It's kind of performance on demand.
Okay, progressive spring checks out. But a spring alone just bounces, right? We need the damper.
Absolutely. The damper's job is crucial. Control the oscillation. It turns that kinetic energy, the bouncing, into heat.
And all dampers have that challenge. What's it called? The volume compensation problem.
Yeah. When the shock shaft goes into the damper body, it pushes oil out of the way. That oil volume has to go somewhere.
And how it deals with that defines the type, like bladder shocks versus these aeration ones.
Exactly. Bladder shocks use a little rubber bladder to separate an air pocket. When the oil pushes on the bladder, the air compresses.
And air compresses exponentially, right? So the bladder shock adds its own progressive effect, an air spring.
Right. Now, the aeration damper, sometimes called an emulsion damper, does it differently. It's a small amount of air mixed directly with the oil. An emulsion.
Okay. How does that change the damping feel?
It makes the damping force beautifully linear because you don't have that separate air pocket ramping up exponentially at the end of the stroke.
I see where this is going. Linear damping.
Is the perfect partner for your progressive barrel spring.
Because if you used a progressive spring and a progressive bladder shock,
you get this stacked progressive effect. It would feel awful. Really harsh, unpredictable, spiky, just unusable for performance.
So the aeration damper just controls the spring's speed linearly without adding its own ramp up.
Precisely. It lets the progressive spring do its job properly. The goal here, really, is minimal rebound. You want the tire back on the ground settled immediately.
Makes sense. Now, this is a system, so you can't just slap them on. You need to tune it, right? Matching things up.
Oh, absolutely. Spring stiffness and oil viscosity have to work together.
Yeah.
Like with the Tamiya OP1666 set, you get choices: soft red, medium yellow, hard blue springs.
And the rule is generally stiffer spring needs thicker oil to control it.
That's the starting point, yeah. You tune it to get the damping characteristic you want for the conditions.
Okay, so let's talk application. Same parts, but different results on the CC-01 versus the ORV.
Totally different focus.
Yeah.
On the CC-01, the cross-country chassis, putting these on is really a handling upgrade. It's all about managing lateral forces.
Curing that famous body roll the CC-01 is known for.
Exactly. It makes a huge difference to how it corners and handles side slopes. It tames that roll.
But on an ORV chassis, like the Frog or the Brat,
It's much more of a pure performance upgrade, focused on vertical forces.
so jump landings, controlling squat when you accelerate hard.
And coming down that super bouncy rear end, they have stock. Anyone who's tried to land a frog smoothly knows the struggle. This helps massively.
Right. So we've upgraded the springs and dampers, got this great synergy. But it's rarely just one fix, is it?
Never is. You fix one thing, and it often highlights weakness elsewhere. Which brings up a good point for you, the listener, to think about. You've just invested in precision suspension control. But what about the rest of the system, specifically steering slop?
Ah, the classic Tamiya plastic steering assemblies. They often have quite a bit of play.
They do. So the final thought is, to really get the full benefit of this precise suspension, are you also going to address that steering slop maybe with an aluminum upgrade to match the precision you've just added? Something to consider.